Well, welcome to this episode of Did She Really Say That? The conversation I'm having with women in business around how they're redesigning business, how they're living their lives out loud, and how they're challenging the status quos that we believe should be the norm, but really aren't. It's time for a different conversation, and that's why you're here with us today. Because this conversation with Brianna is going to be like, holy bleep. And we do cuss, so there might be some words dropped in here. There might be some foul language. And you know what, ladies? Welcome to our world, all right? So I am super excited to have Brianna with us. She is the founder of Legacy Fulfilled and a newly published author. This is coming soon, by the way. So you're going to get like first dibs. Oh my God, look at there it is. First dibs for this. One of the cool things you have to know about Brin'na is that Brin'na is a young lady. And what I mean by this is that by the time she was 28, she was one of Target's youngest. And I do say Target, so that is a national company here in the United States. She was the senior district director. She managed thousands, ladies, of team members and over $580 million in operations. Mic drop, right? So, and in that time, she had a lot of rapid growth, a lot of promotions, six-figure bonuses, everything we want and dream that we should have at that corporate level. And yet, if you talk to Brenna, she'll tell you that totally sucked. She felt empty, disconnected from her authentic self, and she was being asked, oh, this gives me chills just thinking about it because we had this conversation, to cover up something unethical. She walked away from her corporate success to build something of significance. Today, through her Legacy Fulfilled, she helps high performing women leaders transform from success into significance. How many ladies here are resonating with this already, right? By building your authentic self, a purpose driven business, right? This is what we all want. This is why we shift from corporate into this business world, is that we feel called to do something different. We feel called to change the norm. And honestly, Brenna is going to bring this to you, okay? She is that author. She's got a beautiful chapter called The Beautiful Breakdown, Rebuilding Legacy from the Inside Out. You guys have heard this theme throughout most of these podcast episodes for season 3. It's the inside work. This book launches at the time of this airing of this podcast. It is launched. I promise you that. You're going to want to get your hands on it. It is Be the Brand, Your Story, Your Business, Your Way, Volume 2. She has got the chapter in it that's going to blow your mind, and you absolutely need to read it. This is a powerhouse young lady. And I say that because she is really, if I could look back 15 years ago and I said, I want to be like Brenna. I want to have that type of courage. And I love seeing this in our, as women, that are coming up and saying, you know what, let's lead for impact. So, you know what, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm blushing. I have goosebumps. I think I'm starting to sweat. That was really sweet. And it's never fun to hear yourself spit back at you. But that was really fun to listen to. Thank you for that. And thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
absolutely. So when we first did our meet and greet and I met you, I was like, holy crap, Brenna's story is one to tell, right? So let's kind of dive
One.
into this,
Yeah.
right? Because it's important. So we're going to go dive back a little bit in your past. So you started working at Target. So talk to us about just kind of a little bit into that phase. We're not going to spend a lot of time on there, but I want to just kind of give like that sense from your perspective. What was that like?
So, I am originally born and raised in Indiana. I'm a Midwest homegrown girl, thought I would always live in the Midwest. And like most people, I went to college thinking I would do one thing and I needed an internship for credits to graduate. And so, lo and behold, the bullseye stepped in and I fell in love with the chaos.
Yes.
Original goal, dental hygienist. I did this internship and what's funny is I studied organizational leadership and supervision, which is front door to back door business with a focus on people development, i.e., Target in real life. And
Yes.
I decided to start my career with them. So immediately upon graduation in 2014 from Purdue University, I started my career. And within 3 years, promoted 3 more times. And then in 2019, got relocated through the company from Indiana out to California, which is where we live now. And the best territory I could have ever been placed in. And yeah, I stepped into my dream role as a district senior director 4 years into my career, and I held that role for the next 5.5, bringing me to 11 years with the company.
What was it like as a female in that role? Because I tend to wonder, do you get pushback by being a female in that type of role? Yeah, you're
You
shaking your
betcha,
head. For those that you
baby.
guys are not watching the video, she is absolutely shaking her head. So let's talk a
Yeah,
little bit about that.
you betcha, baby. And I had a very unique trajectory throughout my career. Yes, it moved rapidly, quickly. And with that, I also didn't have necessarily a goal line of where I wanted to be
Hmm.
position wise, other than by the time I retired with the company, which again, big goals, big dreams. I
That's
want
way out there.
Yes, I wanted to be a district senior director, which at the time, from intern up to that, was like 4 levels above me. I'm like, this is going to be, I'll be there by the time I retire. But my path was a assistant manager was my first salaried position. Then I stepped into a property management business partner role, and I ran all things property management related across 18 stores in central Indiana. And when you know what that side of the business is, it's the air conditioning works, the lights work, the bathrooms have soap, and every building has a technician, a specialist on site 40 hours a week. They are the guru and the specialist, most of who are close to retiring. And my intro would be like, "Hi, I'm Brin'na," followed by, "Oh, honey, I have t-shirts older than you. How are you,
Okay.
and I'm like, this is going to be so fun. You just don't know it yet." And that was really in that position for about 18 months was a really big, humbling eye opener of just how much I did not fit into what the norm was expected. I was the only female in the room often, and I was least tenured, especially for my direct reports in that role. And I have a lot of energy, and a lot of people in the properties world don't. And they love what they do, and they're good at what they do because they don't have to interface with the guest a lot or the team necessarily. And so that was really my first exposure to that. And then from there, I became a store director. I ran a $50 million building, and I was the youngest store director on the team. There was a lot of people who didn't agree that I should have had the position. There were people that voiced, "Oh, yeah, like she's been here for 3 years and she's doing this. It took me 10 to get here." So there was a lot of that going on. And really, I took it in stride, and I see people for people, and it's okay if you don't agree. I'm also going to deliver. So like, you can't fight with that.
Right.
And like, I'm going to amplify you in the process. You just don't know it yet. Coming as a senior director and relocating out to California, I was one of 2 females on the team initially out of 7 in our regional territory. But there was only like 30 something of us in the company. And as you look up, even less females. And then you look at the board, and there's like 3. And then obviously our CEO is a male, announced retirement this year, or transitioning positions this year, Brian Cornell. But there really wasn't a lot of female leaders ahead of me to also see where I could fit in. So I like to take the approach from saying yes to property management. Even if I'm the only one, I'm going to do it and figure it out.
Yeah. And I love how you said it, because I think, we are still in a time period where women are stepping into first time roles still. Like, it seems absurd that that's still happening, but
Mhm.
it is still. And I look back, it's like it's only been 50 years. For those of
Mhm.
you who've been listening in, 50 years ago, women could open their first check-ins account without their husband's signature. 50 years ago, we started getting into corporate level jobs, doctors, higher end positions, research, you name it. CEOs, like, this hasn't been like generations that we've been doing this. This is literally less than a generation that we as women have been getting into these roles. So, Brenna, I love that kind of that journey. And I can only imagine the impact that you probably don't know you left behind, the ripple effect that you created. Because in your leadership, you given permission for women to reach and aspire for that. So, in from a heartfelt standpoint, I want to just recognize you for the bravery, the courage to transition into roles of unknowingness, to be the one that kind of got the brute force of the, how dare you, you don't fit in kind of a thing, to really redesign the inside of these companies. So thank you for going through that, because it does take a strength of character to be that woman that says, I'm gonna do it anyways, and I'm still gonna love on every single one of you. Like, ta-da!
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So there was an incident that happened. We're not diving deep into this one, but there was a moment, which is what for me, when we talked about it, I was like, damn, I really wish I had had a conversation with you back when I was going through something of a similar effect. So let's talk just briefly about that before we dive into kind of what you're doing now and the shift around that conversation, because it leads into.
Yes. Yes, it does. So, as I mentioned, there weren't very many female leaders above the positions that I found myself in. And so, majority of my career, I did work for males. And I've had incredible, like the unicorn type bosses that you're lucky to interface with. Um, and the day finally came where I worked for a female, and I was stoked, you guys, like listening to a tenured female in the company, meaning she has experience, she's got the reputation behind her. She's a mom of two, she's relocating across the country for her position. I was like, oh my gosh, let's
Oh,
like long overdue. And I can finally see like a representation of myself, even though we don't have kids. I can see someone in that role that's doing it.
yeah.
Was really cool for me. And being at least tenured in my role at the time, I was kind of the person to onboard, if you will, the new boss. And so be the sounding board, be the one that gives the hard feedback, be the pulse of the team when things aren't landing, like throw her a bone and help her get acclimated. And in the book that just came out, you'll realize the chameleon side of me stepped right into this and no problem, I got it. And it was really great until it wasn't. And
Mm,
I say that because as a professional, a young professional, a female professional, I pride myself in the relationships that I build. There is integrity behind it. There is transparency with them. There is support through them. And so I was very real with that acclimating process. And we became a really good team professionally, but we also became very close personally because she got to know who I am, where I'm from, things about my family, things that I'm struggling with, my wishes and desires outside of what I want to do for my profession. And what I didn't recognize was I was also feeding a lot of ammo that would come back later
oof.
and be used almost like to her benefit, right? Against me, which is not great, but I learned through that. And all of this, it comes down to the point that we had gotten so close that after 10 years of my now husband and I finally getting engaged, yes, we dated 10 years, 7 of which were long distance. And then he finally proposed after 10 years. I obviously was very excited. And
Yes.
she had gifted me her wedding earrings as a something borrowed, as a very sweet gesture. I mean, I bawled. It was like super kind, totally did not need to do that. But I say that for reference of you don't just do that kind of thing with anybody. There's like got
Yeah.
to be some sort of relationship there. So that was in 2022. And by 2023, it took a turn. And
Mhm.
I no longer was the sounding board. I rather became the punching bag and I rather became the safety net of coverage because my job is to also make my boss's life easier. You
Yes.
deliver on results, so you do your job and it makes their life easier. I give the feedback that isn't landing so that it's heard in a way that lands, all those kind of things.
Yep.
And after getting to know so much about me as a person and utilizing that against me almost, is that I was being asked to cover up certain things that she knew wasn't right. Uh,
Mm.
I was being asked to, tell your team that I have a family emergency. I need you to take me home today. We're going to cancel visits. Just tell them I have a family emergency. First of all, my response is, okay, boss, are you sure? Yes. And then I do that because that's just what I do. And then I go home and I don't sleep for 2 weeks because I'm like, this is not good. I know this is wrong. Um, and in that, I chose to stay quiet and to play my role because this also was my career for 11 years. This is all I've achieved. This is why I live the way we live. This is me and my identity. And that values cross of being asked to do something I know is not good. And it's like adding a layer and a layer and a layer and a layer, but I could see through, this isn't right. Doesn't feel good. I don't know what to do. If I talk about it, I'm going to get fired, all these things. So I sat with it and I fought it for about 18 months. And in that was severe burnout,
Mm.
anxiety, everyday anxiety that I thrived in because it was chaotic in retail, but it was uncontrollable and it became panic attacks. It became medication. It became routine therapy every week. It became sleepless nights and night terrors, waking up in a pool of sweat, thinking I peed myself. Like, no, that was stress eating away at who I am, what I stand for, what I know is right and wrong, um, and being silent for way too long. So,
And I'm gonna stop you right here because I have a feeling a lot of them are like, holy crap.
mhm,
I hear this and now I'm self-reflecting, right? Like I absolutely can hear from our women right now that are sitting here going, "Ooh, I'm in that space. Oh, is this what it feels like? Wait, what's gonna happen next?" Now we kind of paused it to keep you on the edge of your seat, ladies, like I did this on purpose. And I want you to kind of really see for yourself. There is a point as women and as a human being in general where you feel that your values are compromised. There is a a sense of integrity, right?
mhm,
It's not necessarily morality, it's integrity. It is the integrity of who you are. What is that? Is that about treating people well, right? Being good to people, like as a whole. And so when there's something off, you do feel it.
mhm.
And with Brin'na, I mean, you're talking, it's like an emotional, mental, everything. And it wasn't yours to carry. Like you stressed over something that really wasn't yours to carry.
Yeah. And I can even tell you during meetings that did happen, a lot of times, ladies, they got canceled or rescheduled and then they never appeared on the calendar again.
Mm,
I had even voiced, like, I'm uncomfortable. I don't feel
mm.
psychologically safe right now. I'm not okay with this. I know I agreed to this and it's been sitting on me for months. I should have brought it up. I don't feel okay. And it was brought up multiple times in multiple avenues. And what hurt was like nothing happened.
Yeah,
No,
nothing.
nothing happened. And I'm like, okay, so clearly I'm just like dramatic, as everyone is first to assume. And I'm just losing my mind. I'm going crazy. I'm not happy in life. It must be a me problem. Then I go to the
Ooh, wait a minute. It must be a you problem. I love how we shift responsibility from where it's at onto other people as a way to displace our sense of, hey, we're part of this. We're part of the problem. So,
yeah.
yes, continue.
So it got so bad that I was like, I, something's wrong. Something's
Mm,
wrong in me. And I don't know what it is. I'm like doing all the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing. I work out, I drink water, I eat, not normally. I just eat on the fly because I work all the time. I know my pitfalls. I know the excuses I make for myself, but this is different. So I met with my doctor and we started conversations, and immediately he is like, I would like to refer you to a therapist. I would like you to get set up with a psychiatrist. And of course, I am like, yeah, okay, like whatever. I just know I don't feel good. I can't sleep. I can't look at myself in the mirror. I am mad and I am really young and I'm like doing all these great things at work. Why do I feel empty? It's hollow. What the hell is happening? And sure enough, first conversation with the psychiatrist and the therapist was like, you are not in alignment with who you are
Hmm.
within your own integrity and with values that are important to you. And that was a humbling experience, but the most reassuring comfort I think I've ever felt, because I had made up in my mind, everyone, there's more of me in this company. There are more of me in this position across the company. They must all just deal with it. And I just don't know how to deal with it yet. That's
Oh,
not it.
wait. Okay, I'm gonna stop you again because I can hear everybody going, "Holy crap!" Wait, I did because you're amplifying, I think, what a lot of women throughout these corporate places that went ahead of you have experienced. And I love this conversation because I feel like you're voicing the upset that we didn't even know we were experiencing or had the opportunity to really look at. So really grateful, seriously grateful for this episode, because this is, you have literally said some things, ladies. I know she said you're thinking, did she really say that? Did she really say that? Holy crap. I've had that experience. Like, I know that's what's going on out there.
Yeah. And I can say too, um, in my chapter that it just came out or was published, I mentioned my family dynamic, and the chapter specifically is heavily weighted on the relationship with my stepfather and his legacy and how that comes about and why that matters. But I mention this because my dad, my biological dad, is also my best friend. He's also my role model, and
Mm.
he is a high level executive, always has been, carries a lot of heavy responsibility, obviously, as a male. And he has always encouraged me to go do and be whoever I want to be,
Mm.
and do it in a way that is respectful, and that you treat the CEO the same that you would the janitor. They're human on the other side, regardless of the title they carry. And
Amen.
that is like lights on. Yes,
Yeah.
that is when I know I'm being me. And when it was shrinking or going against what I felt like I had to do, that's where it started to spiral. And it wasn't me that was a problem. And I know that
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It
And
is,
you,
it's doing something about it.
yeah. And I think what you said just now, I don't even sure if you caught it, but you said you felt yourself shrinking.
Hmm.
And I think when you have a value base that is to treat a human being as a human being, no matter background, race, creed, position, whatever, and then you get the sense that you cannot do that and you start to shrink, that, if ladies, if you're feeling that in any way, I mean, definitely go talk to a therapist, go continue, self-discovery, go do some work, because there's something there that unlocks a value in you that when you stand in this value, like Brin'na has, and she's about to shift into, this transforms everything because it gives you back the sense of who you are and your purpose again.
Yes.
So there was
Yes.
a shift. So there was a moment when you were told to go, shh,
Yeah.
Brin'na, quietly disappear and
Hmm.
go into the night and do your thing. And that's not what happened.
No, it is not. And I will lead this with, I support a severance package option when it's needed based off your situation. I recognize I am in a very unique situation, which is why I was able to make the decision that I'm about to share, because it's also not normal. And I realize that.
Wait a
However,
minute. I'm going to
it's,
clarify that this might seem not normal now, and this might be more of a reality in our future, because there's something beautiful in this process, in this conversation that you're going to share with us, because this is what, this is okay. Like, I want to give permission that this is okay to do, because
yes,
I think that's the beauty of what you're about to share next.
yes. Thank you for clarifying that. And so here is basically what happened. I was in that burnout phase for as long as I physically could take it. For me, it was about 18 months. And then I finally said, that's it. And I called our HR director, the integrity team. I submitted all of the feedback that I had collected. Ladies, keep the receipts. I know it's like a trending joke and all the stuff, but like, for real, keep the receipts because you never know when you might need them.
Mm.
I had everything from screenshots, photos, text messages, ignored messages, emails, calendar cancellations. I had everything. Submitted up what was happening because the treatment of me also shifted during this 18-month time frame, obviously. And I'm like, this is not good. I am delivering on all fronts. I'm not a problem performer. My team is cranking out operations and I am pumping talent. I know I'm not the problem on delivering. And after I opened up that can of worms upward, I got a call the next day from our HR manager. And she's like, at this level, this is kind of how we proceed. And this is what the options look like. And then there's an offer of severance. And we want this to be mutual. We want this to be quick, both for you and for the business. Again, I totally understand. The reason we have a job is to produce and drive sales. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. However, I refuse to take a penny because it also comes with an NDA. And I know at my level, the NDA also protects the integrity of the company and things that you have exposure to. And that's not what it's about. It also would have limited my experience in my career of 11 years with this company that I have achieved. Absolutely not. I am incapable of talking about mental, psychological, physical impacts of my time and my tenure. I'm not here to talk about the calls that come out on New York with stock numbers and all of that. That's business. Personal is that I didn't sleep for days. Personal is that I have been in therapy weekly for a year and a half talking about a job that impacted me and my identity as a human being. And that no one will ever pay me enough to be quiet about.
Amen.
So no, thank you.
Yeah.
And I left. March 29th of 2024, I decided to step down from my position. I sent a message to all my mentors and my team, and I said, I appreciate all the work we've done, and I hope to stay in touch. I'm staying in Folsom. My number stays the same. And I left. And I left because I had been cornered into this is the only way out, is this severance and NDA. And I said what I did at the beginning about I understand how fortunate I am to be able to have made that decision. The reason that I could is because I've also worked since I was 14. Every dollar my husband and I have, we have earned, saved. We're insane savers. But I also knew financially we are okay. We looked at every single thing that was included, from benefits coverage, medical coverage, options for retirement, stock funds, executive deferral programs, everything. What am I choosing to walk away from? And what do we have as a safety net that I don't have to rely on surviving by taking this severance? And I recognize that not everyone is set up in that financial situation, which is why I say for those that have accepted that offer, you're not wrong if that was the best decision for you at that time. You're not wrong for signing the NDA because it is required in order to accept the severance. However, know that I did not, and that I now have the ability to not only be an advocate and a voice for myself, but an advocate and a voice for you. Because the experience of what you went through and what you internally dealt with in your own identity rocks and shifts and everything else, there are threads of similarity across anyone that has been in that situation. And I chose to decline it so that I could save my voice and save the integrity with it.
And I think that's something that I honestly admire and love about you, because there is the sense of shame and blame for a lot of things that happen at the level of corporate. It's been embedded in the fabric of what it's done, right? And And it's not to say it's right or wrong. There's multiple ways in which business is run, and there is the sense of things are changing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love with what you're sharing is that in this entire episode, not once did I feel like you were going after anyone. Not once did I feel like there was an upset with your journey, your experience. What was the upset was, as human beings, when we create businesses, we have to create a safe space for all of us as human beings to interact with each other in a way that if at any time our values feel like they're been challenged, we have the opportunity to go and voice that in a space that invites collaboration, invites those conversations so that each human being deals with something in their life
Mm-hmm.
at any level. Like, I don't know what was going on in your life, her life, company life, everything else. Like, there could have been a multitude of things, right? So to sit here and point fingers and say, oh my gosh, you were so right in doing that, that's not the conversation we're having. The conversation we're having is that it's okay to shift our conversations and still mutually be grateful for the experiences. Brenna has said to you, this crafted, like, her experiences, the level of experience that she got, the growth that she got, the personal one-on-one training that she got over her career has gifted her the ability to come forward now and say, yeah, this is my voice. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to help. But it's the skill sets she picked up. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the business, it was the skill sets. It was the people she's in. When you're talking, how many people did you have on teams? Thousands of people on your teams?
Mm-hmm. About 3,200 in peak Q4, and that's across 10 Target stores in 2 states.
Do you realize how many people have impacted you and you've impacted them?
It brings me to tears of the impact that they've made on me.
Yeah,
Every
like
single person.
every single one of you touched your life,
Mm-hmm.
gave you something to learn, gave you something to challenge you, gave you some new perspective. And I think that's the beauty of what you're bringing forth is like every person had something to contribute. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is. That many people to be around will shift perspectives for you like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a just me mentality when you're playing at that level and you're responsible for a community of human beings to perform and find talent and to nurture and grow that, you yourself have no choice but to grow.
Correct. Correct.
And
It's inevitable.
yeah, and that's what I hear when I talk with you is that there's a level of growth because of who you've connected with, the people
Mm-hmm.
that you've connected with. So ladies, if you're listening, this is the conversation that I hope you are able to have. Even the gentlemen that I know that are here listening also. It's okay to have a voice. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to say no to protect your voice. Not everything needs to be silenced. And I think that's the conversation that really shows up for me in here, Brenna, is that it's not always okay to be silenced. There are other avenues in which we could pursue. And I think you opened the door that said, could there have been another way?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that's the possibility I think you presented in everything we shared on this episode is there's a possibility of another way. And as at a corporate level, as an entrepreneur that's building businesses, I want to gift you what Brenna just said because that I want you to take into your business as you grow. That I want you to take in as part of your personal development. Conflict isn't to be ignored.
Mm-hmm.
Conflict is an opportunity to learn.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Especially as a leader of a team of one, if as an entrepreneur, or a team of many, if you are an entrepreneur and have multiple contractors and support people in your roles, or you're actually in a role at corporate leading large teams. No matter what, you are dinner table conversation for someone else every single day. How you make them feel is what dictates how that conversation goes. And as a leader, in my role at Target, that is something I thought about all the time. Anything that I'm doing, am I okay with who I am at night if it shows up on the headlines of the news or the front page of the paper? If not, probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Next is for my team. even when we disagree, even when they challenge back, which I encourage a lot, by the way, that's good. That's growth because I'm also getting to know what matters to them
Yeah.
and why, and making them feel heard and being able to go home and have the dinner table conversation that you're not going to believe this. We got into this huge discussion today, but you know what? I
Mm.
felt heard. Like we don't have a resolution yet. Or she said yes. How cool. That dinner table conversation about how I had made my team feel, that means I'm doing my job as a leader.
Yeah.
Not, I tried to bring this up, I got shut down or unavailable again, or just got told how bad I am. I'll just stick
Yeah.
to doing what I'm doing. That's not it.
Yeah.
That's not amplifying leaders. So, yeah.
So one of the things that's interesting, and I'll share this as part of my background, because I feel like this is what sets us apart as female leaders also, is that ability to listen and connect. So when I was in corporate space, so for those that know, I worked at Walt Disney World for 13 years as a chef. Like that was my big thing. And at the end of my career, so I actually went from full-time to part-time to no time with Disney. I actually transitioned my way out, right? One of the things I recognized early on, especially as a leader and somebody in management, is that as you're working with your team, they want to be heard. There is going to be a moment as you're sitting there, and I always call it the kitchen. All of a sudden, the kitchen got quiet, right? There was an angst, there was an upset, there was a dispute between somebody, there's something that would happen, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, you're thinking, you're like, yeah, that's true, right? There's
Yep.
always a moment where there's a calm and then there's like chaos. And
Mhm.
so one of the things that kind of came up for me was I called it the back dock party. All right. So in the kitchen, if you guys ever worked in a restaurant and even at Target, there's a back dock. It's where all the freight trucks come in to drop produce and everything you need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a disaster usually back there. You're sitting next to a dumpster. There's crates
Yeah.
everywhere. It's not the prettiest environment, but we do keep it clean, okay?
Yep.
Because that's a standard. Your
Yeah.
buildings, you know that you got to keep that area clean.
Yep.
So I would do a back dock party. I'm like, so I'd feel the unrest. And I would say, you're still on the clock. We're going to take 30 minutes. I'm going to continue to pay you. We're going to go on the back dock. I'm going to feed you ice cream. And we're going to sit here and figure out what the flock is going on. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So I said, okay, I'm taking my name tag off. Like I'm still on the clock, but the sense of taking the name tag off, right? I'm not in a position of authority. I am now sitting here with you, wanting to know what is going on in this kitchen because that is the only way. And so it would be a time as like, if you need a smoke, smoke. If you want to have an ice cream, have an ice cream, like whatever feels good for you. If you need to
Yep.
cuss, like there's nothing's going to get written up, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But that sense of they get to come together and have what would be pretty much a bitch session,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Cleared so much
Absolutely.
space,
Yes.
cleared so much space to be able to have them be able to be heard,
Mm-hmm.
have that opportunity to have somebody listen to them. And I could say, you know what, I could resolve this. This is what I know. Like, I can't tell them everything that's maybe going on, but I can say that might not be possible, but I'll continue to look into it and get back to you on that. Right. And then honoring my word to get back to them on that. What can
Absolutely.
we change? Right. So it's not just listening, but it's also honoring your word and saying, this, I'm going to follow up with you on what that is. So I think when you talk about, what are you creating in your workplace, that's the integrity, right? Like those are the moments I may not agree with my boss. He'd always say that's stupid, that's not, why do you do that? And I was like, because it's me, and it's the one way I resolve crisis in the kitchen. Otherwise it's just going to stew, brew, and boil over,
Yep. Yes.
and it's not a safe place anymore, and nobody wants to work in an environment where they don't feel safe.
Exactly. And that's the back dock party is so funny. When I was a store director, we did the same thing and it was in the freezer because everybody just needs to cool off. So we all just go stand in the big walk-in freezer together. As a district senior director, it was a 2-minute rule. And I was hands off, gloves off, like, tell me what you're thinking. I'm going to start the clock. You got 2 minutes, go. And I would just let it happen. And then I'm like, time. And everybody took a deep breath and then we could move on. Then, as a multi unit leader, I could call them one on one or go to their building and say, let's go take a walk. And
Yeah.
we walk outside of the building in circles and we get to the bottom of the problem. But had I not opened up 2 minutes to let the floodgates out, I would have totally missed so many incredible moments of development and support for my team.
Okay.
So that is a great way to continue to be a human leader that builds a team that people want to be a part of. And that
Yeah.
is what I do.
So let's dive into what it is you do now. So transition. So we're talking this a little over a year. You've moved out of this space. You're now building the legacy fulfilled. What is that? What are you being called to? What are you being called to? And who do you want to be working with?
Oh, this is so exciting. So I am about a year and a half in business under Legacy Fulfilled as a solopreneur, and I have a mighty team of three that help me make wonders out of the work that I build. And here's what we got going on. So, three kind of avenues of working together current day. First off, is working one on one with me as your leadership coach. Some call it a career coach, some of them call it a leadership coach. I like a legacy building coach. That's more one on one, focused on the inner work personally and the ripple effect through your leadership in
Ooh,
life.
I
That
love
can
that.
be in your corporate role, that can be as an entrepreneur, that can be as a stay at home mom. You are a leader to your family. Anybody that looks, listens, watches, that is influence. That is a leadership role. And whether or not it's in your title, it's the responsibility of being a leader.
Yeah.
That's the work we do one on one. It's super fun. My client roster is just, I get fueled just as much as they get fueled. And it is all
Same.
about you as the client. I give you all the skills and tactics if it is very work focus driven. I had a client this week. We built out a huge talent succession strategy plan for her to implement and to use. So you kind of get both lanes of what that looks like. Then I've got the consultant side. So this is more for teams of people through corporations and or through teams that bring me in and they want to do a total team training. So
Mm,
my specialty is building magnetic teams that people want to stay on. Obviously, that includes generational differences, how to have hard conversations, how to engage and minimize retention of your team that actually is controllable. Leadership is a learnable skill. You're
yes.
just not taught that in the training that you're given at the company. You're taught how to execute and deliver, which I also respect. But you got to know how to lead and retain your people. So that is my consulting lane. And I build those out with the companies around what they really are focused on giving back to their people. And I do that in a way that I know is also going to resonate and develop their people. Third lane is through awareness. So I am a professional speaker. I have 4 speaking engagements over the next 30 days. So if you're in San Francisco, Orange County, Folsom, or Las Vegas, I will be in your area over the next month speaking. I will be giving out copies of the book and be able to share kind of like that side as a support tool because there are me alongside 5 other female entrepreneur authors who share why they started their business. The whole point of this publishing is the founder's story behind the business that fuels it. That is not something to talk about when I'm leading a training. That's not something to talk about as a speaker. I am there for you to provide value. So if you want to know the whys in legacies and why they're so important, that's what this is for. Um, and hopefully to also inspire you and allow a mirror for you to see yourself. But outside of the speaking engagements and doing some stuff with the book tour and things like that, I have my own podcast. I am a guest, obviously, on podcasts. I'm very active on socials and on LinkedIn and just growing a community of leaders who want to stand tall in their values. That is not me pushing my values on you. That is you identifying what they look like and mean to you and how you live fully in them every day. So that in turn, you build a legacy as a leader that you can look back on one day and be proud of.
Ooh-wee. I hope you all just follow her like right now because Brin'na has brought this conversation in full circle. And starting off with, you can tell she's got the energy. I can see why you rose through ranks fairly quickly because there is that sense of growth and personal awareness. And while an upset happened, I think that made you a stronger voice in what you're doing. And like I say, with anybody that's come from that corporate background, there's a skill set you learn that can be brought in. Like I always tell people, I said, I came from Disney, and trust me, there's a lot of skill sets and a lot of things that Disney has done well in customer service relationships that I bring in to businesses, because once you learn that culture, and you were in it for 11 years, I was in mine for 13 years, you don't unlearn that. Like you just kind of evolve it into the next piece. You take the best of and you bring it forward. So I could say that like working with you would be an absolute treat. And
Thank
you
you.
are absolutely focused on the people. And I think when we get back to not the dollar bills and the dollar that runs the company, but the people that make the impact from the bottom up, that is where we start to shift and change what leadership is, and we get back to the fundamentals
Mhm.
of making a difference in this world, not just building for a dollar, but building for humanity.
Yes, that is what it's all about. Because at the end of the day, I am a human just like everybody on my team, whether it is in a corporate role or it is as a client, as an entrepreneur through my business. It's about the impact, the influence, and the legacy that is being left and made in the lives of other people. That is what leadership is about. So
Yes.
I love this conversation and I love the work that you are doing. I have listened to a lot of episodes, and yes, she did really say that. So thank you for listening to this episode and connect with me. Like I said, I'm very active on socials. I can provide my links and bio and all the stuff for the show
All
notes.
of that will be in the show notes. So that's all
Yeah.
taken care of. So wherever you're listening to this podcast, in the show notes are every way you can possibly connect with Brin'na, and just follow her, fall in love with her. And if her style resonates, work with her.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
That is where this is the episode. These are the shows of Did She Really Say That? Is that these are women that are shifting. They're changing the face of what we believe the world has to look like or what business needs to look like, and saying, what if we do it a little different? And if
Yes.
you've listened in to Brenna today, did she do it a little different?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Could it become a norm?
I
Yeah.
hope so. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So I love you. Okay, we are gonna have you come back, because I know we talked about in our initial conversation about the generation gap between, like, so we
Yeah.
what was that phrase that you used? What's the word you're using?
Generational generational gap.
Is it
Uh
generation gap?
yeah, the shift is 63% of the workforce is coming from millennials and Gen Z in 2025. That was as the updated Gallup report in July. But that span of 63% penetration of a generational gap, along with the tenured, experienced roles, massive disconnect. But there's a way to lead and connect through it. And,
Mm.
and that ties into building a magnetic team. So I would love to come back and discuss that further. So yeah, this is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for just keeping it real.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being on here. And if you guys love this episode, give it a thumbs up, follow it, like continue to follow Brenna, and let's just have some fun, because that's what we do here at Did She Really Say That? We are all about challenging the norm. So we'll see you on the next episode.